Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. NFL 2022 NFL Combine just finished up late last night. No better way than to get into a couple 2022 NFL mock drafts. We're going to be taking a look at Ryan Wilson's 2022 NFL mock draft that he updated 11 hours ago. So right after the Combine, this draft is coming out, and let's just take a look at what we're dealing with here. Ikem Ekwonu going 1 overall. I don't hate this pick. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars need a tackle. The raw power Ikem Ekwonu shows on his film is absolutely insane. I think he obviously needs some work developing some technique. Again, he just kicked out to offensive tackle full-time this year, and so he's still kind of refining those skills. I think, again, you guys heard me talk about it. Charles Cross, probably the best pass protector. Ikem Ekwonu, probably the best run blocker. And then Evan Neal's a little bit of the hybrid of them both. 6'4", had long arms, extremely powerful dude. Again, I think Charles Cross is my number 1 tackle. Ike's number 3. But I think it's all razor tight between these 3 guys. I'm not going to push back too much on Ikem going number 1 overall. Lions go 2. They get Aidan Hutchinson. This is a very chalky pick. It really makes sense. Aidan Hutchinson didn't have the craziest combine. He obviously killed the 3-cone drill. Very efficient mover. But at the end of the day, he had the best film in this draft class. He was absolutely dominant against the top tackles that he went up against. And he just did the hometown kid. He fits what Dan Campbell's trying to do. Tremendous off-the-field leader. This seems to be a lock if he's there at 2. Number 3, Evan Neal to the Texans. Most of the Texans fans that watch us want to get an offensive lineman. Laramie Tunsil, I think he's going to be on the trade block. You're picking probably the best tackle available on their boards. A guy at 6'7", 350 pounds. He looks great for 350 pounds. He didn't work out at the Combine. He's saving it for the Pro Day, which makes sense coming off a season that went into mid-January. He's a great prospect. I don't hate that pick one bit. Kayvon Thibodeaux falls to 4. I think this would be an idea. The Jets are going to have their choice of Kayvon Thibodeaux or Kyle Hamilton. I think that's those guys. It's got to be one of them. I think they're going to have a choice of those 2 guys. Kayvon Thibodeaux is just an absolute animal. I think he reminded people how athletic and how dominant he can be at the Combine. He had a phenomenal Combine running a 4.6 40. I think he benched 225 27 times. Look, you got the character concerns wearing sunglasses inside. I might have some character concerns. Look at that. I'm wearing a hoodie inside. I think those character concerns are – I haven't seen them. Again, I'm not having personal meetings with them. I also don't run 4.6 40. I'll get buried by 225 pounds. So this guy's an absolute freak. I think this would be a great pick for the Jets. Charles Cross at 5, again, best pass protector in the class, in my opinion. His footwork, his ability to mirror people is just absolutely incredible. I love this pick. Him and Andrew Thomas, you will not need to worry about that offensive line holding up in protection. I think Andrew Thomas looked really good to end the second year in the NFL, and Charles Cross is going to come in and be a very good pass protector at the NFL level. Again, you might worry about a little bit of that power, how well he can block in the run. He didn't really do it much at Mississippi State in that air raid offense, but he's just so good at pass protecting. And what are you drafting an offensive tackle to do? Protect the quarterback. That is the number 1 job. Charles Cross is going to do that at a very high level. Panthers go get Kyle Hamilton. I think that's a great pick for them. Kyle Hamilton's an absolute alien. Falls to number 6. Most people have him as a top 5 prospect. A lot of them have him as a top 3 prospect. Panthers get him at 6. I think the Panthers are a good candidate to trade out of this pick just because they don't pick again until, late 3rd round? I don't even think they have a pick in the 3rd round. So I think it's the 4th round. This would be a good pick if they're not trading out. The Giants go get my dog, Jermaine Johnson. He's just playing his way. I think he was most people's boards. I loved his film. His film was absolutely incredible. Kid who went to JUCO, transferred to Georgia, and then he transferred to Florida State. The film was incredible this year at Florida State. And then he had a great Senior Bowl, absolutely dominated the Senior Bowl, and then he had a great Combine. He's just absolutely gaining a ton of momentum in this draft process. The Giants need an edge guy. Jermaine Johnson is going to be a great, great pick. He's all around great player. He's very good in the run. He's got a deep tool bag to go and get after the passer. I love this kid from Florida State. Falcons go Malik Willis. I actually don't hate this pick. I think Matt Ryan, I don't know what you're going to do. It's very weird to me that Matt Ryan, there's been a lot of veteran quarterbacks like being talked about in trade rumors. Obviously, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers the most. But I think Matt Ryan has a little bit of juice to maybe go to the Commanders for 1 year and kind of like maybe give them a little jolt because they just can't trot out Taylor Heineke again. So maybe they go to trade him, but I also don't think it's horrible for you, Malik Willis, to sit 1 year, learn from Matt Ryan, because he's a guy that has probably the best tools in the class at the quarterback position. He's just very raw. He's not the best processor. He's not the best with his accuracy, but he's an elite athlete, and he has an elite arm, just an absolute cannon of an arm. So you give him a year in the NFL to really get into the film, to become a little bit better of a processor, maybe hone in that accuracy a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Josh Allen. They don't play a ton of the same way, but Josh Allen was a guy that needed some work coming into the NFL. He got that work down in Buffalo, or up in Buffalo, I should say. I think Malik Willis could maybe have a similar track. Broncos go get Sauce Gardner, one of these stars at the Combine. The biggest question mark you had on this kid, great character, great film, great production. Does he have the long speed? Is he a good enough athlete to run with some of the faster wide receivers in the league? 4'4", 140, check the box, first cornerback off the board. I'm not nearly pushing back on my Gardner being the first cornerback off the board anymore. I was a Derek Stingley guy. Probably still would take Derek Stingley first overall, pending his pro day. But I'm not going to argue that Sauce Gardner is CB1 because I think they're both awesome prospects. The Jets go get Devin Lloyd. They go get Kayvon Thibodeaux. Derek Stingley's still on the board. I think that could be a pick. I think one of the wide receivers could be the pick. I'm not a fan of taking Devin Lloyd in the top 10. Again, he did run a 4.7. I'm not too concerned with that because what he says, he plays much faster than a 4.7, and that's kind of what's most important is what you saw in the film. He has great instincts. This guy's a very good prospect, but I think people are telling me he's like Micah Parsons. Oh, yes, he can blitz off the edge, but he's not nearly the athlete Micah Parsons. For Micah Parsons ran, I believe, a sub 4.4. Like, this dude was absolutely a freak. Devin Lloyd definitely isn't the freak that Micah Parsons is, but he's great in coverage. He has great ball skills, converted safety. He has awesome film at Utah. He's a very good prospect. But again, there are some great linebackers in that second and third round that I think provide similar value that Devin Lloyd does. And so am I taking a top 10 pick on Devin Lloyd? I don't know, especially with someone like Derek Stingley, Garrett Wilson, whatever wide receiver you want still on the board. I don't know if I'm going that route. It is what it is. Garrett Wilson goes to the Washington Commanders. Problem is, if you go get Garrett Wilson, who's going to throw him the ball? Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, two great Buckeye receivers. Like, that receiving room, the weapons on that offense is absolutely awesome. Obviously, the defense is phenomenal. Who's going to throw him the ball? Like, you can't have – it'd just be such a waste of a pick of Garrett Wilson to go get Taylor Heineke and have him trot out again. I don't hate the pick, don't hate the player. That quarterback position needs to be addressed before you go get a wide receiver, in my opinion. If they do get a quarterback, they probably won't have that pick. Pick 12, Minnesota Vikings, go get Derek Stingley. I think this would be a dynamite pick for the Vikings. Derek Stingley's a guy who's an absolute freak. Turn on his true freshman film. It's awesome. You guys know how much I like him. This would be a great pick for the Vikings who get a guy who's falling due to maybe some character concerns, definitely some injury concerns. If he put together 2 more years of even some semblance of what he did as a true freshman, didn't get hurt, didn't have maybe some of these character problems, he would be a top 5 pick. He would have a chance at being the number 1 overall pick. He's that good. I think that would be a great pick for the Vikings. They got to go. Oh, I was going to say the Browns got to go wide receiver. I think they'll go wide receiver. Jordan Davis, he lit up the pro day. And I changed my tune a little bit on Jordan Davis. I think I was a little too one-dimensional thinking of him. He's a good run stopper, but you're going to use a top 15 pick to get a guy who really is only effective in the run. Running a 4.7, 840, that shows he's got the juice. He also jumped out of the gym. You kind of knew he was an athlete, but you can teach him to rush the passer, push pockets. Yeah, the gas tank's a concern. I think my brother made a really good point. The NFL game's a lot slower. Not as many teams run hurry up. So Jordan Davis's gas tank might not be as big of an issue as it was in college. I think that's another thing to keep in mind. I don't love the pick here just because I don't know if I love the fit. I think they have some other places they got to address. But I'm starting to like the prospect of Jordan Davis a little bit more. Travon Walker to the Ravens. Another Georgia guy who just absolutely blew up the combine. 6'5", I believe he goes 270 pounds. He is very versatile. I think he can play 3-tech, but I also think he's going to go play out on the edge. The 4'5", 140, to see a guy running that fast, jumped, I think, 36 inches. He just has so many tools. I just worry that I didn't see a ton of production. You're going to draft an edge guy with a top 15 pick who didn't have a ton of production in terms of getting after the quarterback at school. Very similar to their pick, Odafe Owe, last year. You didn't have a single sack, but actually blew up with the intangibles, had a pretty solid rookie year. I'm starting to warm up to Travon Walker. I think I just was I didn't like the prospect as much as I didn't like the top 10 buzz. I don't know if he's a top 10 player, especially with guys like Kayvon Thibodeaux, Aidan Hutchinson, Jermaine Johnson. Guys who kind of shown that they can put it on the field. Guys who are very good athletes. Maybe not the athlete that Travon Walker is, but they show they can put it on the field. Travon Walker had good film. It's not that I don't like his film, but it wasn't as dominant, and he didn't show that he can rush the passer at a high level like some of those top guys did. But at 14, I could be talked into it. Nakobe Dean goes pick 15. Again, if Devin Lloyd goes that early, I don't blame the Eagles for going up and getting Nakobe Dean. Like I mentioned, a lot of good linebacker prospects later in this draft, but Nakobe Dean's my LB1. I think pick 15 would be a great pick for him. He is just, he's a little undersized, short arms. I think he weighed in at 229 pounds, though, so that's a nice weight for him. Just the shade under 6 foot. But he's just dripping with instincts. Like, he just flies around the ball. When I watched this film against Michigan, this is me, a Michigan fan, he was beating all of our offensive guys to the spot. I mean, he just knows the play before the offensive guys even can start to play. And that's probably the best tool. You can have all the athleticism in the world. You got to have a smart mind. He has a smart football mind. He's also a great leader. Kind of the heart and soul of that Georgia defense. That was one of the best defenses we've seen. Probably the best defense I've seen in all my years of watching college football. Disgustingly loaded team. He was the leader. He was kind of the heart and soul of that team. It's a good pick. They get another pick. The Eagles, man, they can make some money in this draft. They go get David Ojabo. He's a guy that he's also an unfinished product, like Ryan Wilson mentions. But he kind of put it on the field. 11 sacks in his last year there at Michigan. He's also a very good athlete, track star in high school. And he's still learning. Like, there's a very high ceiling for this dude. He's very bendy. He's very explosive. He's very long. This would be a good pick. And he weighed in at 250, which I like to see. Kind of put on a little bit of mass, because the biggest knock you have about a David Ojabo is how is he going to hold up in the run game. When tackles and guards can kind of get downhill on him, he sometimes will get washed away, and that's just it. He doesn't have a great anchor, but I think you can build that in. Just get him a little bit bigger of a lower half, get him a little bit stronger, which he seems to be like he did kind of leading up to this combine. I could get behind that pick, absolutely. Kenyon Green going to the Chargers at 17. I wonder if they want to put him at right tackle, because that's probably the biggest concern they have. Kenyon Green can play tackle. He absolutely can play tackle. I think he will be the best at guard. And when you're picking a guy like Kenyon Green, you can try him out at right tackle. If it doesn't work, he's going to be a great guard, an all-pro guard, in my opinion. I loved his film. He's a nasty guy. He only put up like 17 reps on the bench press, which was a little bit surprising because he plays with a lot of, but most of his power, like this guy has an absolute wagon, like a big butt. That's where he's getting most of his power. It's not necessarily his upper body pressing. He is a very powerful, a very nasty dude. I love this guy's film. Do I love taking an interior offensive lineman at pick 17? I'm not sure, especially with some of the wide receivers that are still on the board, with Mike Williams maybe gone. This is still a solid pick. Good prospect. I like the pick. The Saints go get Drake London. I don't love Drake London as much as I like Chris Olave. You guys who watch us a lot know I've made that clear. I don't dislike Drake London. Again, this is another team like who's going to be throwing the ball. It's nice to have all these weapons on the offense side of the ball, but if somebody can't deliver the football to them, kind of goes to waste. Mike Thomas, if he comes back to New Orleans, he'll be there. It'll be a very good wide receiving core. Who's going to throw the football to them? That's the question. And we'll see if they can answer that. Jameson Williams at 19. Again, a guy who might miss the first couple weeks of the season with that ACL, but they obviously need some wide receiving depth. Jalen Reagor looks to be a bust, but if you get another wide receiver, again, I would probably rather it be Chris Olave, who's just going to he has a complete route tree where he can create separation. You kick Jalen Reagor into the slot and maybe be able to scheme him up a little bit more. Chris Olave is a guy that you don't need to scheme for because he can win at every route. He showed that on the film. Jalen Reagor is a guy that you got to scheme for a little bit. Scheme ways you can get the ball into his hands and let him be an athlete. Jameson Williams, you might need to scheme up a little bit more. He didn't show as much of a complete route tree as Chris Olave did. But what he does have is just absolute game-breaking speed. He showed that against Georgia in the SEC championship game. And he was on pace in the national championship game to have like 200 yards. He's a very good prospect. Coming off the ACL, another thing I worry about is just development. When you have like a rocky rookie season and you can't get your feet wet, it's hard to develop. I think Jalen Hurts, you want to get a guy who's going to be ready to go. I think Chris Olave is more of that. But again, the speed is very enticing. I absolutely get why you'd want to go get Jameson Williams at 19. Kenny Pickett, hometown kid from Pittsburgh, staying home. I like it. Again, this is a team. I think the Saints would be a good candidate to get Kenny Pickett because I think Kenny Pickett, more than anybody else in the class, is probably the most NFL ready quarterback. But he's going to need some weapons around him. The Steelers have that. The Steelers have a good roster in place. I think they also could maybe bolster that offensive line, which they can do later on in the draft, maybe in free agency. But if you're ready to kind of like Mac Jones, like he's going to need some weapons around him. He's not going to be able to create all by himself. If you can do that, I like Kenny Pickett here at 20. He's a very, very, very NFL-ready quarterback. Trent McDuffie, pick 21. He answered also a lot of questions. You had questions about his length, his speed, his long speed. He also, I think, ran a 4.40. Check that box on the long speed. This is a good pick. His film is just absolutely nuts. One thing you worry about is, was he battle tested in the Pac-12? Guys like Roger McCreary, they were battle tested in the SEC. He's going one-on-one man coverage against John Mechie, the whole Iron Bowl. You see that battle tested, ready cornerback. Trent McDuffie a little less so. Like the film is great. Like people could barely complete a pass on him, but like when one of your hardest matchups is Anthony Brown throwing the football, like, it's maybe not hard to put out the best film ever. Raiders go get Boye Mafe. This one I just might chalk up to being wrong. When I watch his film, I didn't see like the most explosive dummy athlete that people kind of were saying, but then he tested like it. He tested like a very good athlete. I don't think his film is that impressive, I shouldn't say that impressive, but as impressive as some other edge guys. I think George Karlaftis I still have higher than Boye Mafe. But I just might be wrong. Sometimes in life, and certainly me, I'm wrong all the time. I might just be wrong on this cat. Yeah, he might just be a really good football player. That's another position too that I think edge is a very deep class. Like you'll be able to at pick 44 or whatever they have, 50. My math 52. They will there are going to be some good edge guys. And you're kind of already set with edge guys with Crosby and Yannick. I think Perrin and Winfrey could be a good pick here. Like somebody to let's push the pocket. We have two great edge rushers. Let's get the pocket pushed a little bit. So when the quarterback wants to step up, he's running into a 6'4", 300-pound monster in Perrin Winfrey. Or Devonte Wyatt, who the Cardinals go get. Devonte Wyatt's another guy. Just all the Georgia guys tested just absolutely incredible. Strength and conditioning coordinator needs a blank check. Tweeted that out last night. And whatever he was doing down in Athens, training these guys, it's working because they're all freaks. or just the water. I don't know. Somebody's got to test the water in Athens, Georgia, because these guys just came out and just dominated everybody at the combine. Devonte Wyatt being one of those guys. He has great film. He's. I think he'll be a first-round pick. I don't mind the Cardinals going up and getting him. The Dallas Cowboys go get Tyler Linderbaum. This is a great pick for them. Tyler Linderbaum's a guy that if the Giants get him at 7, I probably wouldn't complain too much. And this guy's a lock to be like one of the best centers in the league his rookie year. What you saw from him, the athleticism, the leverage that he plays with at Iowa, being able to get to those reach blocks, he's just incredible. There was it was hard to find reps that he didn't even dominate. And he was that good. If he wasn't a center, if he was like a tackle and put out that film, he'd be the first overall pick in a heartbeat. I mean, his film is just insane. Daxton Hill to the Buffalo Bills. Again, a team that this is more the best player available. The guy that I love, Dax Hill. They do have Poyer, Micah Hyde. They're kind of set at safety, but Dax Hill played nickel in Buffalo, and Poyer and Hyde are kind of going up on contract, so you don't know how long they'll be there. Dax Hill is one of the best guys available. He's going to be great on special teams too. It's not necessarily a position of need, which is when you're a team like the Buffalo Bills, like you're on the verge of a Super Bowl, I would think you'd want to go get a guy who is more of a position of need, who will be able to get on the field consistently, kind of jumpstart and give them a little juice to get over the hump and win a Super Bowl. I don't know if Dax Hill is the best guy to do that, but he's a very good prospect. Tennessee Titans go get Matt Corral. That's one of the first times I've seen a quarterback chosen by the Tennessee in these mocks. I have a lot of question marks about Matt Corral. I think the film is what it is. Like he was awesome at Ole Miss, but when you watch him, it's like it is as far as it gets from a pro-ready system. He wasn't forced to manipulate pocket, step up. You never really saw him have like a 5-step drop, step up to the pocket, deliver football. You didn't really have to see him like go through progressions at all. Like that Ole Miss offense is very simple. You make one read, either hand the ball off or deliver the ball. He's got a quick release. He's accurate. Throws a tight spiral. Like the arm talent's fine. I just question again, another team that has a very good roster and is kind of looking for that jolt too. They were the number 1 team in the AFC. And how can we get over the hump? I don't know if Matt Corral's going to come in year 1, year 2 and be much better than Ryan Tannehill. This guy, I think, is going to need to have a little bit of a learning curve. And Matt Corral's a great athlete, but Ryan Tannehill is also a great athlete. Buccaneers go get Zion Johnson. Again, Ali Marpet, I believe, is hanging it up. Jensen's gone. So you need to go get some interior offensive linemen. Zion Johnson's one of those guys that we talked about. He's going to come in week 1 and be a very solid starter in the NFL. Powerful dude, plays with really good leverage, very smart. Overall, just kind of a blue chip prospect who's just playing a low positional value. He's an awesome prospect, though. Really, really good prospect. I would love if the Packers go sign Aaron Rodgers to a dummy contract and then piss him off more and go get not a wide receiver when you have Chris Olave still on the board. Not even a hate on Andrew Booth. It's just if you go get Aaron Rodgers, you're not able to get Devontae Adams back in free agency. You got to go get a wide receiver who Aaron Rodgers can throw to because, Allen Lazard's no wide receiver 1. That kid from Clemson, Amari Rodgers, didn't really play much. You got to go get him an alpha if Devontae Adams is gone. I would have liked Chris Olave there. Maybe even a Treylon Burks if that's your style. But go get a wide receiver. Trevor Penning falls to 29. I've been seeing Trevor Penning as high as 6 to the Panthers. I'm not a huge fan of Trevor Penning. People love to see on Twitter and he's tossing guys. There's one rep where he just tossed the guy right into the legs of Desmond Ridder in the Senior Bowl and almost hurt Desmond Ridder. There's some technique concerns where it's he's out there playing again in this FCS environment where he can physically dominate guys, but you didn't really see a ton of oh yeah, he's a technically sound offensive lineman. Yeah, he's got some nasty to him, 6'7", 320 pounds. He's a very good athlete, explosive, powerful dude. But I think he needs work. I think the Dolphins need to get a tackle who can come in now. The problem with the Dolphins is there's not a ton of tackles at this spot in the draft, and we're going to talk about the Bengals, who also have a very similar problem. There's not a ton of tackles who I love coming in outside of the top three in Cross, Evan Neal, and Ikem Ekwonu, that I'm very optimistic are going to be able to come in and play at a high level. Pick 30, Chris Olave. I love this pick. This is a dynamite pick. What's the one thing the Chiefs I feel like are lacking is a little bit more structure in their offense. A lot of their offensive production comes from like Pat Mahomes being Houdini in the pocket and then finding Tyreek Hill on a broken route. And yeah, that's awesome. Like that you have a quarterback can do that, and the offense is obviously phenomenal. But like I want more plays where it's like what it looks like to Travis Kelce, where a guy just runs a good route, gets open, you hit him. Chris Olave is going to give that. Again, what we said earlier, he has a complete route tree. He's going to be able to get open a short, intermediate, and vertically. He's like overall, and I think this is a great spot where he's like kind of the wide receiver too there. Chris Olave is a floor of like a solid wide receiver too. I think he can be a wide receiver one, but this is a great spot for him to kind of just provide a little bit more structure and consistency to this Chiefs offense that kind of lacks it. A lot of their outside of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, a lot of their weapons are just fast. They're not necessarily good wide receivers. Pringle, Robinson. There's one other guy I'm forgetting. That's why I'm so bad at fantasy football. But those guys, there's one other guy and I can't think of it. He's from Georgia, I believe. Speedster. But he's another fast guy that just doesn't have like a ton of structure in crisp route running. Chris Olave is that. Like he is as crisp as it gets with route running. I think this would be an awesome, like scary for a Bills fan like me, but this would be an awesome pick for them. Pick 31, Daniel Faalele. Oh, if I see this again, I'm going to lose my mind. I have so many questions about Daniel Faalele to pick him in the first round. Starting with just, are you going to be able to stay healthy at 6'8", 390 pounds? Like, that is, your body's not meant to, like, carry that much weight. And, like, you kind of worry, like, Mekhi Becton's been having some injuries. Like, those Giants, think about the NBA, too. Like, it's hard for those big guys to stay healthy. It's even harder when you're playing contact sport. I also, like, Daniel Faalele is really good in pass pro when, like, he's just a big person who you need to run around. And he kind of engulfs you with his mass, but he's not very, like, powerful. Like, you watch him coming out of his stance. His get off is hard for him to get out. It's hard for him to get in his stance. It's hard for him to get out of his stance with any sort of power. And people kind of took it to him with, like, kind of the sloppy feet. It's just, you have a ton of question marks about Daniel Faalele to take him at 31. I think Birdie Ryman's much better tackle if you want to go get a tackle. Either way, the Bengals need to go to free agency and get a tackle. Because, again, what we said about the Dolphins is true at 31 to the Bengals. Like, there's not many tackles that I feel great about taking that are going to be able to come week one and protect Joe Burrow. And whatever you do, Bengals, you got to protect Joe Burrow better than he was being protected last year. Because he's awesome. I love him. Protect him, please. And then the Lions go get Treylon Burks, which this could be a blessing in disguise that Treylon Burks kind of struggled at the combine. I am not a huge Treylon Burks fan because, again, I don't think he runs the cleanest routes. I don't think he consistently gets separation in the league. But he's also 6'3", 225 pounds and runs a 4.5 and is explosive. Yeah, the 4.5, maybe people thought he'd go sub 4.5. But, like, the film shows how fast he was running away from elite athletes in the SEC. Like, he can win vertically downfield. I think he's getting pushed down a little bit of draft boards because it wasn't as crazy as he thought. Like, there were some DK Metcalf comps. DK Metcalf ran like a, low 4.3s. Like, it's a little bit different speed that DK Metcalf brought to the table. But he would be an awesome pick for the Lions at 32. Again, I think they want a little bit more of a bigger receiver who can win on the boundary and win downfield. That's Treylon Burks. I have Jahan Dotson over Treylon Burks, but I think this fit is great for the Lions. This would be another guy, and I was having a discussion with one of the listeners in the comment section, Christian Watson. Is he going to get any buzz around to, like, pick 32? Like, say Treylon Burks and Dotson are off the board, which they certainly could be at this point. Like, are people going to start talking about Christian Watson maybe getting into round 32? Because he's also a guy who's 6'4". He's extremely efficient mover. Like, he moves really well for that size. And then he jumped out of the gym and ran a 4.3 40. So he's more like DK Metcalf, who I think can move a little bit smoother. The biggest question you have about him is, a lot of his production came against FCS as well. So it's like, will it be able to translate to the NFL? But like based off measurements, based off what, like say he didn't play at North Dakota State, he had no prior knowledge of where he played, and you just saw the Senior Bowl, and then you saw the Combine. Like he's a first-round pick in my opinion. So I think he could be maybe getting some buzz at 32 for the Lions as well, because I think it'd be a great idea for them to get a wide receiver here. It's going to be one that more down year for the Lions. Trust me, I'm a Bills fan. I get there's a process. You don't just immediately become a playoff team. There's a process. You got to go through the hard years. Fortunately, the Lions have gone through a lot of hard years, but you're probably going to get like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young next year. Go get a wide receiver. So now you got a Monron St. Brown. Hopefully TJ Hawk is there with a longer term contract. And then you got someone like Traylon Burks, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson. Like that's a good receiving core that rookie quarterback's going to come into and have some success. The offensive line's also taken care of. So I love wide receiver at 32. I just don't know if Traylon Burks is the best guy. He might be. He might be. Again, he's another guy that I just might straight up be wrong on, but I'm not a huge Traylon Burks guy. So that's a wrap on the Ryan Wilson 2022 NFL mock draft. Ryan Wilson, I don't always see eye to eye. Take a look at a lot of his mocks. He's a super smart guy, probably smarter than me, so he's probably more right than I am. I am right. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in again. We have a blast doing these mock drafts. They're just so fun to look at and break down. Appreciate y'all rocking with the ROC Boys. We'll talk to you later this week with some more NFL draft content. Peace, y'all.